Please
My
don't
brother
sign
looked
it.
at the
We can't
$150,000
give up on
hospital
her
bill,
yet.
then looked at our dying mother, and said, "She's a bad investment." He signed the papers to let her die and walked out with the family inheritance. But 10 years later, when he collapsed and needed a miracle to survive, he found out that the janitor sister he abandoned was now the only surgeon who could save his life. And I had a very special bill waiting for him. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell. Because here, we tell real-life lessons through real and relatable stories. The air in the St. Jude Memorial Hospital smelled of bleach and despair. Julian Benson adjusted his silk tie, his eyes darting to the Rolex on his wrist. He wasn't looking at the time, he was calculating the cost of every minute he spent in this depressing place. Inside room 402, their mother, Martha, lay under a tangle of wires and tubes. Her breathing was a shallow, mechanical hiss. Sarah, only 19, sat by the bed, her eyes red-rimmed from 3 days without sleep. The doctor entered, his face a mask of professional sympathy. "Mr. Benson, the infection has reached the heart. We can perform an emergency bypass, but the cost, including post-op care, will exceed $150,000. And I must be honest, she only has a 20% chance of survival." Julian didn't hesitate. He didn't even look at his mother. 20%? That's not a medical procedure, doctor. That's a bad bet. I'm a businessman. I don't throw good money after bad. Sarah gasped, standing up so fast her chair scraped the floor. "Julian. It's Mom. She worked 3 jobs to put you through business school. How can you talk about her like she's a line on a spreadsheet?" "I'm being realistic, Sarah," Julian snapped. "I have a life to live. A firm to build. If you want to stay here and watch a miracle that isn't coming, that's on you. But I'm signing the refusal of care papers. My signature is the only one the bank recognizes for the family trust." He signed the paper with a flourish of his gold pen, tossed it onto the bedside table, and walked out. He didn't look back. He didn't see Sarah fall to her knees, clutching her mother's cold, thin hand. Julian moved to the capital. He used the family trust, the money meant for Martha's care, to open a high-end real estate firm. He lived in a penthouse. He married a woman who didn't know he had a sister or a living mother. In his mind, they were already dead. It was easier that way. But back at the hospital, Sarah refused to let the story end. When the hospital tried to move Martha to a hospice to die, Sarah begged for a week. She took a job as a night shift janitor at the very same hospital. For the next 5 years, Sarah's life was a cycle of exhaustion. By day, she sat in the hospital library, devouring medical journals until her eyes burned. By night, she scrubbed the floors of the ICU, mopping up the blood and tears of strangers. She sold her car. She moved into a tiny studio apartment with no heat. Every cent she made went into an experimental care fund she set up for her mother. The doctors called her the janitor saint. They saw her whispering medical terminology to her unconscious mother while she mopped the room. One night, a senior cardiac surgeon, Dr. Eris, found her correcting a mistake in a medical chart she was supposed to be dusting. "Who are you?" he asked, stunned. "I'm the girl who's going to save the woman in room 402, she replied. 10 years passed. Julian Benson was the king of real estate, but kings often forget that their foundations are built on sand. A massive market crash wiped out his holdings. The stress did what the money couldn't, it broke him. At 42, Julian collapsed during a board meeting. He woke up in a private clinic, his chest feeling like it was being crushed by a vice. "You have a rare arterial blockage," his doctor told him. "There is only one person in the country with the skill to clear it without killing you. Drive S. Benson. She's the chief of surgery at the Benson Institute." Julian's heart skipped a beat. Benson? It was a common name. Surely, it couldn't be, no. Sarah was a dropout. Sarah was a failure. Julian was wheeled into a high-tech office overlooking the city. He was terrified. He was no longer the man in the $5,000 suit, he was a patient in a thin paper gown, shivering. The chair turned around. Sarah looked magnificent. Her hair was pulled back in a sharp bun, her white coat pristine. She looked at him not with hatred, but with a terrifying, clinical coldness. "Sarah?" Julian wheezed. You're a doctor. Thank God. You have to help me. I'm your brother. Blood is thicker than water, right? Sarah placed a yellowed, crinkled piece of paper on the desk. It was the refusal of care document Julian had signed 10 years ago. "Blood didn't seem very thick when you signed this, Julian," Sarah said. "You told me Mom was a bad bet. You told me her life had a price tag. Well, I calculated the cost of your surgery. It's exactly the amount of the family trust you stole, plus 10 years of interest." Julian began to cry. "I'll pay it. I'll pay anything. Just save me." "I don't want your money, Julian," Sarah said, standing up. "I want you to see what a bad bet looks like 10 years later." She opened the door to the adjoining room. A woman sat there, bathed in sunlight, knitting a sweater. She looked healthy, vibrant, and younger than her years. It was Martha. Julian's jaw dropped. "But," the doctor said, "the 20%. "The doctor was wrong," Martha said, her voice steady and full of grace. Sarah didn't look at the percentage. She looked at me. She worked until her hands bled to pay for my treatment. She studied until she became the surgeon I needed. She didn't buy a penthouse, Julian. She bought me time. Julian tried to reach out to his mother, but he lacked the strength to even stand. He realized then that he had spent 10 years building an empire of glass, while Sarah had built a legacy of life. Sarah performed the surgery. She was a professional, and she wouldn't let her brother die, even if he had let their mother go. But the Julian who woke up was a different man. He was broke. His firm was gone. His wife had left him. And when he was discharged, Sarah didn't give him a ride. She gave him a mop. "The hospital needs a night shift janitor, Julian," she said, handing him a blue jumpsuit. "It's a good place to think. It's where I learned that the most important things in life are the ones you can't put a price on." The video ends with Julian, alone in the long hospital hallway at 3 a.m., mopping the floors, finally understanding the weight of the debt he could never truly pay back. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more powerful life lessons.